Someone powerful is desperately trying to find you right now, and you don't even know they exist. I know how that sounds. I know it sounds like something you'd hear in a movie, trailer, or not something that could be true about your actual life, your actual Tuesday, your actual half-asleep moment scrolling through your phone at 1 in the morning. But stay with me, because what I'm about to describe, what I'm sensing, is not a fantasy. It's happening in real time, somewhere not far from where you are sitting. And the strange part, the part that's going to give you chills, is that this person is already close, closer than you think, close enough that your path have probably crossed or are about to, without either of you fully realizing what's unfolding. And here's the thing about your energy that's important. The thing nobody ever tells you. It doesn't stay where you are. It moves, it travels. It reaches out into rooms you've never been in and touches people you've never spoken to. And right now, somewhere out there, someone is feeling that pull. They are feeling you before they have ever even met you. And they are desperate, actually desperate, to find the person behind that feeling. That's you. So let's talk about this, because I don't think you fully understand what's being building. You are someone who values your privacy. I want to start there because it matters more than you realize. You are not the type of person who shares anything, who posts every thought, who needs everyone to know what you're doing every second of the day. You keep things close. You keep your circle small, intentional, curated. Not because you are cold, but because you know that your energy is worth, and you refuse to waste it on people who don't deserve access to it. You've learned, probably the hard way, that not everyone who wants your attention deserves it. And not everyone who asks for your time has earned it. So you have built walls, quiet ones, the kind of walls that don't look like walls from the outside. You are still polite, still kind, still present when you need to be, but underneath there is a line. And very few people ever get to cross it. And here's the paradox. The thing that makes your situation so unusual. Even though you keep yourself guarded, even though you tend to disappear into your own world, people notice you. They can't help it. There is something about the way you carry yourself. Maybe it's how you walk into a room without trying to be seen. And somehow everyone sees you anyway. Maybe it's the way you talk, slower, more deliberate, like you're actually thinking about what you are saying instead of just feeling silence. Maybe it's just a quality in your eyes, something steady, something that makes people feel like you are seeing more than you are letting on. Whatever it is, it leaves a mark. People remember you. Even people you've forgotten completely. People you brushed past at a coffee shop, sat next to on a flight, exchanged 10 words with at a party three years ago. They remember you. They think about you sometimes, randomly, out of nowhere, and they wonder, of course, what happened to you, where you went, who you became. This is the strange gift you carry. You are someone who can disappear and still be unforgettable. And right now, that gift has caught up with you because there is someone, a real person with a real life, real responsibilities, real walls on their own, who remembers you, who has been thinking about you, who has spent more nights than they'd admit lying awake with your face in their mind, wondering where you are, wondering if they will ever see you again, wondering if what they felt when they were around you was real or if they imagined the whole thing. Let me paint you a picture, because I think it will help you. It will help land this land the way it's supposed to. Picture someone who, on the outside, has it together. They are successful in some way, maybe not flashy, but solid. People respect them. They've built something for themselves, whether that's a career, a reputation, a life that looks stable from the outside. They are the type of person other people lean on, the strong one, the one who doesn't fall apart, doesn't get emotional, doesn't let people see them rattled. And for a long time, that's exactly how they operated. Calm, controlled, a little distant even, because showing too much always felt like a risk they were not willing to take. But something happened to this person, something that cracked that shell wide open. I keep getting the sense of a moment, and I don't know how exactly what it looked like for them, but I know it was big. The kind of moment that makes a person stop and actually look at their life. Maybe it was a health scare, something sudden, something that for a few hours or a few days, maybe everything else feels small and unimportant. Maybe it was a loss. Someone close to them passing, someone they didn't expect to lose so soon. And suddenly, mortality wasn't this abstract thing anymore. It was right there, staring them in the face. Maybe it was an accident, something that could have gone a lot worse than it did. And in that split second where everything could have ended, their mind didn't go to work or money or status. It went to you, or to the feeling of you, to the regret of never having said what they wanted to say. Whatever it was, it changed them. It cracked something open that they'd kept sealed for years. And what came pouring out of that crack was you. All the feelings they'd buried, all the moments they replayed but never spoke about, all the what-if thoughts they pushed down every single time they came up, because acknowledging them felt too too dangerous, too exposing, too much, like admitting they wanted something they might not be able to have. Now, imagine that person lying in bed at 2 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, finally letting themselves think about you without stopping it. Finally letting the memory play all the way through instead of cutting it off halfway. And in that moment, something shifts. They make a decision, a quiet one, maybe one they haven't even said out loud to anyone yet, but a real one. I'm not going to keep pretending this doesn't matter. I'm going to find them. That's the thoughts. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care if it's awkward or if too much time has passed or if they have moved on or if this makes no sense to anyone else. I need to know. I need to try. That's the energy that's circling you right now. That's the desperation I am picking up on. Not desperation in a needy, unstable way, but desperation in the way that only comes from someone who has spent a long time being patient, being practical, being careful, and has finally run out of patience for their own caution. And here is where it gets even more interesting, because I don't think this is someone you'd expect. I keep getting the sense that this is a person who in their day-to-day life comes across as the opposite of vulnerable, strong, a little guarded. Actually, maybe even more guarded than you, which is saying something. The kind of person who other people would never picture crying over someone, or losing sleep over someone, or rearranging their priorities because of a feeling they can't shake. People who know this person would probably be shocked if they knew what was going on inside their head right now. That's how it is. That's how out of character this is for them. And that's exactly why it's so significant. When someone like that breaks pattern, when someone who never gets attached suddenly cannot stop thinking about a person, that's not nothing. That's not a passive passing thoughts. That's something real pushing through years of armor. I also keep sensing that there is history here. This isn't a stranger who saw your photo somewhere and developed an obsession out of nothing. That's not what this is. There was a real connection at some point, even if it was brief. Maybe you crossed paths during a specific period of time. I keep getting the sense of an event, something social, something with energy and people and noise, a gathering, a celebration, somewhere loud, somewhere with music, somewhere that felt alive. And in the middle of all that noise, there was a moment between you two that felt different, quieter somehow, even with everything happening around you. And conversation that went deeper than either of you expected. Eye contact that lasted a second too long, a laugh that felt like it meant something. And then nothing happened. or not enough happened. Maybe the timing was wrong, maybe one of both or both of you were dealing with something else in your life at that time. A relationship, a move, a job change, something that made right now feel impossible. Maybe you exchanged numbers and never really used them. Maybe you didn't even exchange numbers at all. And that's part of why this person is struggling so much now. Because they have no way to reach you. They don't have your number. They don't know your last name. Maybe they know you by a nickname or a first name only, or they just know their person from that night and nothing else. I'm also getting something specific here. Something about you helping this person. Not in a huge, dramatic way necessarily, but in a way that mattered to them more than you probably realized at the time. Maybe you said something that stuck with them, a piece of advice, an observation about them that nobody else had ever said out loud. Something that made them feel truly seen for the first time in a long time. Maybe you defended them when other people were not stood up for them in a situation where it would have been easier to stay quiet. Maybe you simply showed them kindness during a period when they were struggling and nobody else noticed they were struggling at all. And to you, it might have felt like nothing. A small moment. The kind of thing you do without thinking twice. Because that's just who you are. Generous with your energy when it counts. Even if you're guarded the rest of the time. But to them, it was everything. It was one of those moments that qualify you quietly rearranges someone's entire perception of a person. And they never forgot it. Not for a day. They've carried that moment with them through everything that's happening since. Through relationships, through career changes, through whatever life has thrown at them. And it's never faded. If anything, it's gotten louder. There is also something here about a piece of jewelry, specifically something that wraps around like a ring. I'm not entirely sure of the exact context, but it feels significant. Maybe there was a gift involved at some point, something given or received that carried more weight than it seemed to at the time. Or maybe this is something that's coming, a symbol of commitment, permanence, something of permanence, something this person has started thinking about in relation to you, even if it feels premature to even admit that to themselves. Either way, there is a thread here about something meant to last, something meant to symbolize a bond that doesn't break, and it tangled up in the feelings this person has for you. I'm too emotional. Now let's talk about what's happening on their end right now, because this is the part that I think you really need to hear. This person is not okay. I don't mean that in a dramatic crisis way. They are functioning, they are going through their days, doing their job, talking to people, living their life. But underneath all of that, there's this constant hum of you. You are in the back of their mind during meetings. You are there when they are driving, when the radio goes quiet for a second and their thoughts wander. You are there at night, especially at night, when the day's distractions fall away and it's just them and their own head and the memory of you that refuses to fade no matter how much time passes. They have tried to move on. I want to be honest about that because it's part of the story. There may have been other people in their life since whatever happened between you two. Other relationships, other connections, attempts to fill the space where you used to be or where you almost were. But none of it has worked the way they hoped it would. They'd be sitting across from someone else, having a perfectly nice time, and your face would show up uninvited in their mind, and suddenly the person in front of them would feel like static, like background noise, like a placeholder for something that has not happened yet. That's not fair to the other people. And on some level, this person knows that. But they haven't been able to help it. You left an impression that nothing else has been able to compete with. And I keep getting this image of dreams, actual dreams, the kind you have that when you are asleep. This person dreams about you, not occasionally either, more often than they'd ever admit to anyone. Sometimes the dreams are about moments you actually shared. Sometimes they are about things that never happened. Conversations you never had, places you've never been together, futures that doesn't exist yet but feel so real in a dream that waking up from them is disorienting. And here's the part that might give you chills. Some of these dreams started before certain things happened in their waking life. Like their mind was already preparing them for something, already pulling them toward a future that hadn't arrived yet. That's how strong this connection is. It's operating on a level that goes beyond just memory. It's almost like a pull, a current, something neither of you fully controls. Now, this person has been trying to find you, actually trying, not in a passive, I wonder what they are up to way, but in an active, frustrated, increasingly urgent way. And they are hitting walls because, surprise, you are hard to find. You don't make yourself easy to locate. Maybe your social media is private or under a different name, or you barely use it at all. Maybe you've changed your number since whatever point in time this connection was strongest. Maybe you moved. Yeah, you moved, changed jobs, shifted your whole life in a direction that makes the old version of you the version this person knew, feel like a ghost, untraceable, gone. So what do? They start asking around, carefully, casually, trying not to seem too obvious about it, because admitting how much this matters to them feels exposing in a way they are not fully comfortable with yet. They might bring you up in conversation with someone who knew you both, framing it as curiosity, just curiosity. Hey, do you ever hear from so and so anymore? When really their heart is pounding while they ask. They are hoping for any scrap of information, a city, a job, a social media handle, anything that gives them a thread to pull. And I think some of these attempts have already happened. I think there is a decent chance that somewhere recently your name has come up in a conversation you were not part of. Someone mentioned you, and this person's whole body reacted. That little jolt, that spike of attention, the kind of reaction you cannot fake and cannot always hide, even if you try to play it cool. If that conversation happened around you, even loosely, even if it was someone mentioning that someone was asking about you, pay attention to that. That's not random. That's the thread starting to pull tight. There is also a strong sense here of communication mattering a lot to this person. And to you, honestly, you are both people who value honesty, who can't stand fake interactions, who'd rather have an uncomfortable real conversation than a comfortable fake one. I'm really proud of you. That shared value is part of what made the original connection feel different from other connections either of you have had. Most people, this person has learned, say what's convenient. You didn't. You said what was true, even when it wasn't easy. And that kind of honesty is rare enough that it sticks with people for years. I also want to address something because I think it's important. This person is not just thinking about you in a romantic way, romantic vacuum. There is a sense that they see a future here, not in a fantasy, unrealistic way, but in a grounded, this could actually work way. They have thought about what life could look like with you in it. Not just dating, not just a fling, but something with weight to it. Something built to last. And part of why they have held back for so long is exactly because of that. Because this feels important enough that they didn't want to mess it up by rushing, by reaching out at the wrong time, by saying the wrong thing and ruining a chance before it even became a chance. But that hesitation is breaking down now. Whatever happened, that event, that wake-up call, that crack in the armor I mentioned earlier, it's pushed this person past the point of maybe someday. They are done waiting for the perfect moment. They've realized there is no such thing as a perfect moment. only moments you take or don't take. And they don't want to look back in another 5 years and realize they let this slip away because they were too scared to seem vulnerable. So here's what I think is actually happening and why your energy matters so much right now. Energy is not just some abstract idea. It's real. It's something people respond to even when they cannot explain why. And right now, your energy is doing something. It is reaching out. Maybe it's because you've been thinking about the past more than usual lately. Maybe certain memories have been surfacing for you too. Certain names, certain faces, without any obvious reason why. Maybe you have had a strange dream recently that felt more vivid than usual, more emotional, the kind that that stays with you for a whole day afterward. Maybe you felt an unexplainable shift in your mood, moments of deja vu hitting you out of nowhere, or a sense that something is about to change, even though nothing on the surface of your life has actually changed yet. That's not coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. That's the pool I'm talking about. Just two energies that were once close, that shared something real, are starting to move toward each other again, slowly, quietly, in ways that don't always show up as obvious events. Sometimes it shows up as a feeling, sometimes it shows up as a name crossing your mind for a reason, for no reason. Sometimes it shows up as running into someone who knows this person without realizing the connection at the time. I want you to think back, not in a forced way, but just let your mind wander for a second to people you've crossed paths with in the last year or two who felt slightly familiar, even if you couldn't place why. A friend of a friend, someone at an event who seemed to recognize you or who you seemed to recognize, even though you couldn't place from where. Pay attention to those moments, because the universe, our beautiful universe, doesn't usually announce these things with a neon light, neon sign. It usually whispers them through small, easy to miss coincidences. And it's only later, looking back, that you realize, oh, that was it. That was the thread. Now, here is something I think is really important for you to understand about yourself in all of this. You are not the type of person who chases. You never have been. You've always been the one who gets chased, who gets pursued, who has people circling, hoping for attention, while you stay calm, stay selective, stay exactly who you are without changing for anyone. That's not arrogance, that's just your nature. You know your worth, even if you don't talk about it, even if you're humble about it on the surface. And this person, the one I've been describing, they know it too. That's part of why they are scared, honestly. Part of why this has taken them so long, because pursuing you means risking rejection from someone they already suspect is out of their league in some way. Someone who doesn't need them the way they have started to need this connection. But here is the thing about real connections. The rare ones. The ones that actually matter. They are not about who needs who more. They're about resonance, about two people who, when they're in the same space, feel like the noise of the world gets a little quieter. Like things make a little more sense. Home. Like there is less performing, less pretending, less of that exhausting effort most interactions require. From everything I'm picking up, that's what existed between you two. Even if it was brief, even if it was years ago, even if it never got the chance to become what it could have been. And that kind of resonance doesn't disappear just because time passes. It goes dormant, it waits, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes it gets a second chance. Especially when one or both people involved go through something that strips away the noise and leaves only the things that actually matter. I think that's where you are right now. Not in some abstract spiritual sense, but in a very real, very human sense. Someone out there has gone through something that made them stop settling for fine and start wanting real again. And in their search for real, your face is one that keeps showing up. Your voice is the one they keep hearing in their memory. Your name is the one sitting on the tip of their tongue during conversations they can't quite finish, because saying it out loud still feels like admitting something they are not fully ready to admit. But getting closer to ready every single day. So what do you do with all of this? Honestly, nothing dramatic. You don't need to go digging through your past, messaging all contacts, trying to force something into existence. No, that's not how this works. And honestly, that kind of forcing usually backfires anyway. That's a law of physics law. What I'd say instead is this. Stay open. That's it. Stay open to the small things, the unexpected message from someone you haven't heard from in a while, the mutual friend who randomly brings up an old memory, the strange coincidence that puts a familiar name back in front of you. Don't dismiss these things as random. Pay attention to them. Let yourself feel curious instead of immediately shutting things down, which I know is your instinct. Because guarding yourself has kept you safe for a long time. And when this person does find a way to reach you, whether it's a message out of nowhere, a mutual friend reconnecting you, or an unexpected run-in that feels too coincidental to actually be a coincidence. Try to give it a real chance before your walls go up automatically. I know that's hard for you. I know your default is to be cautious, to wait and see, to not get your hopes up. But this isn't some random person testing the waters casually. This is someone who has spent a long time working up the courage to do this. Who has thought it through more than you'd ever guess, who is not coming to you lightly. There is a softness in this person right now that didn't used to be there. So be gentle. A willingness to be honest about feelings that they used to hide behind jokes or silence or distance. If you do hear from them, or if you already have recently in some small way you might not have registered as significant, notice the tone. Notice if it feels different from how things used to be. Notice if there is something underneath the words, something a little more open, a little more real than before. Because that's the shift. That's the ego death I keep sensing. Not a dramatic theatrical thing, but a quiet internal shift where someone decides they're done hiding now how they feel. Done pretending things don't matter when they actually matter more than almost anything else in their life right now. Your energy pulled this person in once, even if briefly, even if it didn't lead anywhere at the time. And that same energy is pulling them in again right now. Except this time, they are not going to let fear win the way it did before, or ego. This time they are going to try. However that looks for them, a message, a call, showing up somewhere they think you might be, asking around until someone finally gives them the information they need. They are going to try. So if you have been feeling something lately, restlessness, deja vu feeling, a sense that something's shifting, even though you can't point into what. Trust that feeling. It's not random. It's not nothing. It's the way universe speaking with you. It's a signal of something moving back into alignment after being apart for longer than it should have been. Someone powerful is desperately trying to find you. They are already close. And your energy, the very thing that makes you who you are, the thing you've never had to explain or perform, is what's pulling them in right now, whether either of you fully realize it yet or not. So stay open. Stay you. The rest is already in motion.